presidential race has gone to the dogs as the Romney camp digs up allegations that Barack Obama is the worst enemy to man's best friend. I'm Steve Green. This is Trifecta, and here to help dig into the issue that has the right barking mad, Bill Whittle and, of course, Scott Ott. Gentlemen, after certain members of the press sunk their teeth into an old story about Mitt Romney putting his pet dog on the roof of the car for a long family trip, this video appeared on YouTube courtesy of a Romney operative. Watch.
With Lolo, I had learned how to eat small green chili peppers raw with dinner, plenty of rice. And away from the dinner table, I was introduced to dog meat, tough, snake meat, tougher, and roasted grasshopper, crunchy.
That is the president in his own words, Bill. He ate a dog. But arch-conservative David Frum brought up a very good point. Dog, he says, is just another exotic food, like when, and this is his example, when Special Forces soldiers eat snakes. Bill, isn't Frum right? Shouldn't we stop being so goofy and let this sleeping dog lie?
Well, first of all, any question that begins with "isn't Frum right?" the answer is no. That's the first question. The second issue is, you know, this Barack Obama sure talks a lot of class warfare for a guy born with a golden lab in his mouth. This thing is sweet, sweet, sweet karmic justice. Every single time they try to use one of these trivial little issues to try to throw a wedge into politics, the war on women, you know, the fat cats who pay more than their secretaries or pay less than their secretaries in taxes, just blows up in their faces, and this is really a prime example. And you know, this story's been out for about 7, 8, 9 days now, and I never really heard something until you just played that clip. But Barack Obama actually says in his own words, I learned how to da-da-da, and then he says, and away from the dinner table, I learned to eat snake and then dog. It's like, away from the dinner table? Where did you learn how to do that? Were you at a park? Were you throwing a stick? I mean, where? Away from the dinner table? Were you at the mall and some little poodle came by and said, oh, that looks like a delicious little aperitif?
Bill, that lab comment is exactly the sort of cheap shot I want to warn you against. All right, Scott, the right showed a dogged determination not to let go of this one. The internet came alive with all sorts of parodies making fun of the president's eating habits. I found this one to be in very bad taste from a young man using the pseudonym Jim Treacher. Scott, how can the White House overcome these Alinsky-like attacks, or is this going to be a bone in their throat until Election Day?
Well, first of all, I think that we need to point out that the dog was not a staple of the young president-to-be's diet. As Bill pointed out, it was away from the dinner table. So dog for him was more of a snack food. It was like Fritos or, you know, those fruit roll-up kind of things. So, you know, I think we're really overplaying our hand when it comes to what he was. It was a treat. That's right. It was like liver snaps. And secondly, I think that the White House, I mean, right there, the president pointed out that he had eaten dog and grasshoppers and snakes. And I think the White House may want to just put out a blanket list of taxonomic phyla from which the president has not eaten. I think that would help to, you know, because you've got to start wondering what other things has he eaten.
And narrow things down. And I believe that Baracks don't know it's not bacon. Bill, just 14 hours after Diane Sawyer grilled the Romneys about their shameful treatment of their dog Seamus, ABC News was begging for mercy, brought to heel by the right-wing attack dogs, and rolled over and declared that dog tails were off limits. Has the mainstream media effectively been put down?
Oh, you've been waiting for a story like this your whole life, haven't you, Steve? You know, first of all, I want to say to the American people, you know, hide your grasshoppers, hide your snakes, hide your puppies. The president hasn't been seen for 5 hours. Secondly, no, we're not gonna just suddenly roll over, if you'll pardon the expression, ABC News and the rest of you sanctimonious dirtbags in the mainstream media who use this kind of trivial stuff against us your entire miserable lives, who never, ever, ever let any little thing like a misspelling of potato go unheard of. There's never going to be the end to the number of times we heard about Dan Quayle misspell potato. But President of the United States, Barack Obama, says 57 states in the Austrian language and a corpsman. And oh, no. That's a one-off gaffe. How do you like it, folks? This is sauce for the goose. You're getting a taste of your own medicine, and we're not inclined to suddenly just roll over and heal and stop playing this game. So I'm sorry if the word puppy chow has taken on a new meaning in this country, but you have no one to blame but the President of the United States and his mean-spirited campaign staff. And I say keep the ball rolling.
Yeah, this story could go on all the way to November, and that's 6 months from now in people years. Scott, as a boy, Barack Obama was given a dog to eat by grown-ups. But as an adult male himself, Mitt Romney tied a dog to the top of his car just like a retrograde 1960s plutocrat. Isn't that the real story? Hasn't the unleashed radical right wing been barking up the wrong tree?
Well, first of all, what is Pluto anyway? I mean, is Pluto really a dog? I don't understand the plutocrat reference. And secondly, I grew up in the country. And frankly, most of us who grew up in the country don't understand what the big deal is about a dog in a kennel strapped to the top of a car, because every dog who ever rode in a car out in the country, assuming it wasn't a blizzard outside, the window was down and the dog was hanging his head out the window. Or he was sitting in the back of the pickup truck, not tied to anything. And so, you know, for the average American, most people look at this and go, what is the big flap? Now, I will tell you that most of the people I know of in the country never even licked a dog, let alone consumed it.
Interesting point. You know what, folks? There's really just one thing I want you to stay and pause a moment longer so you might remember the most important thing about this story. Obama eats dog. For PJ TV, I'm Steve Green.